What would this man say, this young man, if you told him he'd be coming back to the NFL after 5 years away as a grandfather at 44?
I'm not sure what he'd say. He'd probably first say, "What are you doing?" And then I haven't changed too much.
No.
I have changed. I've aged and changed in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, I think he would say, "Yeah, about what I expected." So
Thank you for coming back to the NFL. It has been, as a fan of yours, a lifelong fan, like so inspiring, so incredible, a great run. Are you where your feet are? Are you being retrospective? Are you looking at the future? What is this like?
yeah, it's been a real. I've just been overwhelmed with gratitude. Really, I wish I had a more diverse word, but I think that sums it up most is just thankful. I mean, that first Wednesday out there on the practice field, I was like, man, this is unbelievable. Like, you forget how much you love Wednesday practice. The first blitz meeting, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, yeah, I love these meetings, so I've just been really trying to take it a meeting at a time, a practice at a time, a day at a time. And then once you got in the flow, I feel like once we got, after that first game, you kind of got in a little more of a rhythm. It almost felt normal again the last couple of weeks. And then, the only regret I have is us not being able to help us, get in the postseason and keep it going. But other than that, it's been a blast. And this week, being able to, pull for Riley and be there to support him. And, it's crazy now because, my current hometown, my new hometown where I live now, I live 5 minutes from him, from where he grew up.
Oh, really?
And oh yeah, and he's big time in Fairhope. Riley Leonard's name carries a lot more weight than mine in Fairhope. So,
I don't know if
uh,
that's true. You are 105 yards from passing Ben Roethlisberger to move into seventh all time. As a fan of yours, it's important to me. How does that not, how are we not going to do that? I don't believe it.
I know. Well, you may not believe this, but that would have been another reason for me not to do it. Not to try to push to play, just because it's like, man, you had to come back after 5 years at 44 and then play in the last game of the year after they've been eliminated to get to Roethlisberger, and it's like, no, it would almost need an asterisk beside it.
You think so?
That wasn't the reason why I'm not doing it, but that would have been on the list of reasons for me to say, I'm not I've said all month or 3 weeks that and I am thankful, and there's been a lot of positive attention and hopefully some impact, for a lot of people. But that wasn't my motivation. It was always with the team in mind, of feeling like, man, maybe I can help give them a chance. And then I feel like you flip it the last week, and it's like, it wasn't about the team. It was about you all this time.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't think anybody thinks that. And I think every number, listen, you're making it harder on people like me who are making these Hall of Fame cases for you over the next five. And you could have been at the top of that crazy draft class.
yeah, whether it happens or when it happens, it won't come down to that 100 yards. I can assure you.
You're going to be there. And so I'd like to know in Canton at some point, you'll be on stage. I think I probably thought about this, what is going to be an iconic speech, maybe more than you have. When you look back at this chapter, these 3 weeks, what do you know you'll talk about in that speech?
Um, I think it'll, which will probably be part of the speech. We're talking about a what if here.
Hypothetical speech. Yep.
We are, but I think just the love to play. I mean, I just the chance to play, and I was able to. I talked to a handful of people, but Frank Reich was among the people I talked to on that Tuesday morning before I decided. And there was a period of time that morning where I was about to go to the airport and go home, and golly, I thought I was done with the emotions, but um, and I went through all the reasons to play, and then I went through all the reasons not to play, and kind of said, shoot, Frank, the easy thing to do to avoid all the what ifs is to go home. I mean, everything's going good. I mean, I wasn't banking on another opportunity to play. I was at peace with how everything had gone. And then I talked about the reasons to play because I love to compete, a team that wants you, all those things. And then so I asked Frank, so having said all that, Frank, why do it?
Hmm.
And he said, cause you can. And that just stuck with me. And I was like, you're dang right I can. You know what I mean? And that kind of pushed me over the edge, I guess. So it was just one of those deals where I think there was fear involved and there
Hmm.
was doubt, but it was justified doubt. You hadn't played in 1,800 days. You're not in the shape you were in. Once we're in, you're older. You haven't thrown to moving targets. You're about to go play against the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Jaguars, and potentially the Houston Texans and try to go get in the playoffs. And so the doubt I think was justified. And once I was able to say, be okay with that doubt is not a lack of confidence. It was just real, and it was okay. And then I had to push myself to the point of being okay with the results. And if I popped a calf in the first quarter of the Seahawks game, how humiliating that would have been. But I was all right with it. Like, well, if that happens, then I'll be home. I'll be home the following Monday. But if we go make a run, that'll be great. So I say that to say the results have been we've been 0-3, and I haven't been able to get us, help us get to where we wanted to go. But I have no regrets in doing it. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude and thankfulness, and the support has been awesome. My family, my wife were awesome, sacrificing, moving to Indy for 2 weeks and moving Christmas up here. And, brother came to every game, and I don't know. So it's been awesome. It's been a little gift that I wasn't expecting, nor did I need, but it fell in my lap and shoot, I know I'll remember it forever.
Philip, I hope you're feeling the love from everybody, not just your family, but it's really quite inspiring. And dare I say, you will now be this poster man for these OG quarterbacks coming back. You know that you will be responsible for Aaron Rodgers at some point, 2031, saying, "Yeah, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do this." Are you happy with that? Would you co-sign those kind of moves?
Well, the thing I don't know if that'll be the case, but I am thankful that was not even on my radar for the impact that it could have, and some of these, some of the positive things I've seen my mom shared with me and all. But I am thankful for that because I think I look back over my career and as mistakes that I made, and I think back to a fumbled snap in Kansas City on Halloween night that we were running out the clock, and how
I remember.
humiliating that was. We're running out the clock to kick a field goal and we end up losing. And that kind of hung over me for a long time. I mean, there was lots of prayer and like positive, like I got to quit worrying about, is that going to happen again? So I say that to just say, as I've grown older, I hope the one thing that maybe it teaches too is that we get so caught up in the results, like, well, what if it doesn't go good? Well, what if
Mhm.
it doesn't? Then you'll handle that then. It's like, well, what if you go out there and throw three picks in every game and you can't move and you get hurt? Well, then I'll deal with that then. You know what I mean? So I think we get so caught up. I think the fear comes from that lack of, well, what if it doesn't go how we want it to go? And we don't get that liberty to know how things are going to go, right? A business endeavor or a
Mhm.
football game, you have to line up and play. That's the only way you can find out. And then if you don't do good, then deal with it. And if it goes good, then you deal with that, and you still got to get right back. And that's the whole Nuke Cheppy, motto is now we begin. We're always beginning
Mhm.
again. You do something good, well, all right, we got to begin again. You do something bad, you begin again. It's a never-ending beginning. And it's all about that process, as you've heard so many coaches in sports say, and it's true. But we do want to win. It is results-based business, but you just can't let that cripple you, I guess, cripple your mindset, or what will somebody think? I think that too often, right? People in the spotlight can think that. I've thought that, what is somebody going to think if I say this, or what's somebody going to think if you do that? It's like, well, golly, that you can't let that rule your whole life. So.
It's a real negotiation with fear and conquering it, which I know wasn't the result you wanted, but I gotta tell you, Philip, that's why I'm joking about this Aaron Rodgers coming back thing eventually. Like you didn't make it look that hard. It
Well,
didn't.
here,
Well, hear
you
me out.
meant
You're airing it out, Philip, all over the freaking place. You're putting your team in the best position to win. The downfield strikes, my friend, to Alec Pierce against the Niners. The beautiful touch on that touchdown to Mo Alley Cox last Sunday. Like, you didn't make it look that hard. And everybody's talking to me about how defenses are faster and more complicated than ever. Is that true? How much truth is there to that?
Well, I'll say this. You mentioned a guy like Aaron Rodgers. He would be one that could do it, and he may just keep going. You obviously saw Tom Brady do it till past this age as well, because it is a game where if you can be a Josh Allen, and I'll end up leaving guys out, but some of the great ones that we're seeing right now, if you can, because he can do it from the pocket. and can run, obviously an unbelievable runner, which I never was. But you still, I think you can function if you can, because it's from the neck up, a lot of it from the neck up and understanding and being able to process quickly and throw it accurate. And, I would like to think I'm going to still be, and I missed some that I usually don't miss over these last few games, but
Mm.
um, I'd like to think you're going to still be able to be accurate. I've been accurate my whole life for the most part, so you're not just going to completely lose that. So about defenses, I mean, first of all, they're really good. Of course, the Rams, Stafford had an unbelievable outing. A few weeks later, we went for 120 yards and then he goes for 400 and something, a few weeks later. But the defenses are really good that we've played. But I think it's probably making a little more of it than it is. I
I
mean,
wanted you to say that.
yeah, I mean they're good. They are good, and they have responded in a lot of ways to not maybe give things away as it once was. Maybe a little easier. The disguises and the complexity of the schemes,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit, but at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot of what I remembered was happening out there in most part of these games, and that's considering I threw an interception in every game and it didn't all go great, but. It was yeah, it was kind of I felt quite at home for the most part after that first game, getting those first game butterflies out of my system.
So now what? You can still chuck it. So I don't want to hear this. I'm done because you can still chuck it. I
Oh
saw
no,
it
I
happen.
I, I
You're
am
done?
I am I this
No,
is
no, no. I'm not ready for that. No.
this is I got a son that'll be a senior, and that St. Michael football team ready to go. We've gotten beat in the semifinals 2 years in a row, so it'll be his senior year, and looking forward to my second son will be a ninth grader, so they'll be on the same team together. So it'll be fun to get back. The boys back home at the school have been real excited. A lot of them came to the game last week, made the 11-hour trip up, and it'll be fun. I think it'll kickstart our off-season program to say the least. Maybe some things I say to them they'll take a little more serious now that I was just out there playing a
Yeah.
few weeks ago.
How do you know you're done?
Well, I knew I was done in 2020.
Okay, but hold on then. You weren't. So I don't know if I should believe you now.
Well, I think this is a perfect. This again, this was just everything just lined up just right because, you know, I said to someone, if I just made up a team, I don't mean the Chicago Bears or the Minnesota Vikings, but had someone like that called, there's
Okay.
there was no chance, because again, it was a place I'd been, a team I was familiar with, the offense was exactly the same, a coach I knew. It was all those things. Our football season was over. It was all those things just made it the kind of the perfect storm. Because I said if one of those teams called, it'd be no way. I'd kind of laugh and say y'all crazy. So I don't see it. I don't see it being there. My mom asked me the same question. She was like, "So, just hypothetical, if someone wanted you to play next year, would you consider it?" And I was like,
Not
"No way."
someone, but let's say Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl, wins his second one, goes off. The Rams are a nice, perfect little position. No? You
Nah.
would say no?
Yeah, I'm back to the sideline. This was a fun 3 week blur, but that nobody saw coming, including myself, and that'll be it.
You have kids in all ranges. I can't imagine how cool that must have been to have the one that's ninth grade, you said? You have a ninth
Yeah,
grade?
yeah.
You have a
No, it was a
sixth. To have them kind of get to see you, not YouTube, not whatever, that must have been pretty freaking cool.
it was awesome. We kind of break our children up into tiers. You have it's funny because our girls don't like it because we say the big girls. And it's like, Dad, you're gonna have to stop referring to us as the big girls.
At
But
some point, yeah.
our older girls, um, my oldest is married and has a 1 year old, and my second oldest is married and has a baby on the way. And so for them, they were like, the emoji of the skull kind of exploding. That's what they were using because they're like, this is like, it can't be real because it was pretty much their whole childhood, right? So 5 years ago, my oldest was 18, 18, 16,
Gosh,
and 15. So my three older girls, it was their whole childhood. Um, and then my middle ones, which is those two boys and a daughter in between them,
middle
they
tier.
were they were yeah, 17, almost 16 and 14. My boys were a little more nervous. They were excited, but they were a little more nervous because they wanted dad to do good, because they play and they know what it feels like. And my oldest was like, "Dad, what if you can't?" I mean, oh, he was a little nervous. And then my younger ones, my 2 year old doesn't know anything yet, but my 6, 10, and 12, those three girls were the most fired up. they were the most fired up because they were like, Dad, you're playing again. Because they've seen the YouTube videos. My 6-year-old actually asked me, it was crazy, a month ago. She said, Dad, why don't you play anymore?
Before all of this?
Oh yeah, it was like yeah, about a month or so ago. Like, Dad, why don't you play anymore? Because they had seen a couple clips on YouTube or something, and I said, Babe, Dad doesn't play anymore. The best you're gonna get is Dad coaching. But I used to play. I used to play, and so for her, I mean, to put on, it could have been any team, right? But to put on Colts gear and come to the game and cheer for Dad was like, this is awesome. So it's been special, and I mentioned Tiffany earlier. She was unbelievable through it all because she was nervous
Of course.
as you would expect. She was just didn't want to be hurt. She was like, golly. Her only promise I had to make her was, if it's your head, you'll come out. If you hurt your head, you'll come out, because I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to that. Not wanting to come out of the game. But I said, absolutely, if it's my head, I'll come out. Anything else, I'll be all right. I got a lifetime to heal. So
Uh, she's amazing. Your entire I've been asking questions on Twitter all day of what to ask you, and everybody just wants you to be stubborn and keep the door open. What if Andy Reid called you and said, "We need somebody to start the season because Patrick's not ready yet"? You can say no to that.
yeah, I can.
Okay, fine.
I can, because I got a high school team. I got a high
I
school
know.
team it's like that. That game's got to be more important. And that's even what I thought in 21 and 22, the 2 years I was out, and I was at peace being done, but I still kind of was like, well, if our football season's over and somebody needs somebody, I'm like, ah.
I've been
So
told by several people that you, even at Antonio Gates Hall of Fame, that you were like very wee, like that you might be able to be lured back.
yeah, I just got through a conversation with Jack Doyle. He does a podcast
Yeah,
here, who's a great teammate in
of course.
2020, and you just there's so many things that I don't know. It's just been so awesome being a teammate again. I mentioned those blitz meetings, being in the huddle, going through a cadence, changing a play. The game within the game is just, I don't know. And that's what Tiffany tells me too. She's like, well, you're going to have that when you're 60. You're going to play when you're 60. I'm like, no. And she was like, that can't be the only reason you go back, because you have passion for it, because I don't see you losing that anytime soon. So, but that's all right. I get to do it on the sideline with a bunch of boys that love the game for all the right reasons. And, the purest level of football is that high school level. And it's been fun seeing those guys get better and really, try to teach them life lessons from the game. Because I've learned a lot about life from this game. I mean, I think I love the game itself, but I think I've learned way more about, how to be a man from being in the game than, not just, I've gotten a lot out of it. And so that's our motto at the high school. I say our motto just for our coaches is, our mission is that these boys are better men for having been in the program. And that's first. And yes, let's go win a state championship, and we're going to try to win, and we're going to try to score 50 every game, and all those things exist. But let's make sure we don't lose sight of that, because for most of our guys, we have some that are going to play college football and you pull for them to play beyond. But for most of our guys, it's it. After high school, it's it. Their last high school football game was the last time they'll
Right.
ever put on a helmet. So if we're only teaching them football, then we're really missing out. Like, we're in the wrong business at high school level. So, but hopefully when they're 25, they go, yeah, I remember those coaches telling us that. And I remember learning that when I was playing. And it's like, yes, that's what you hope you're able to give these guys.
I hope they learn those lessons, but I do hope they look at your highlights. I have to get you to talk me through my favorite Philip Rivers moment. Memory lane. Let's do it. It is 2018. You, Chiefs, Arrowhead, fourth down, Travis Benjamin. Can you just talk me through that? The touchdown to Mike Williams going for two. Like the best Philip Rivers moment ever.
Yeah, I remember that drive like yesterday. That was probably my favorite, one of my favorite games, if not favorite all time. Yeah, we had fourth down, and so we had four verticals on, and Gates and Travis Benjamin are both going to have to kind of lean and bend in there. And Gates was matched up on Sorensen, and Gates certainly, every matchup with Gates is favorable for Gates. I mean, it's just like Gates is going to win versus anyone. But Sorensen was just crafty enough where I was just a little nervous. He was just going to sit in there and hunker down on the inside, and Travis was in the slot. He's very rarely in the slot. He's normally an outside receiver, but I was like, all right, here we go. I'm going to take my drop, hitch, and throw it, and it's fourth down, and this is it. And Travis got his head around just at the right time and was able to get that completion. We moved our way in there. I thought I had a roughing the passer, that the slow mo on the replay was absolutely roughing the passer that we didn't get called. And I mean, I take my helmet off and I'm
So
going
good.
crazy. I think it was Walt Anderson. Walt Anderson was the ref, who I love Walt, but um, and then we get down in there and score with a back shoulder to Mike, and immediately, Anthony Lynn and the whole sideline, it's like we're going for two,
Crazy.
to win it. So we had ran the play we scored in the 2-point conversion. We had ran earlier, um, to the other side with a different motion. And so we're discussing quickly what we're going to call. And I remember telling Wiz and these guys were talking through it. I was like, hey, let's just run it to the other side and let's change the motion. It'll hide it. And I'm trying to explain all that I want. And Wiz is like, yeah, just go do it. Like go do it. It seems like you got it pretty
You're
wired.
okay.
Um, and they busted the coverage, and there's Mike Williams, and it's just like that, I rolling right just a little bit, and it was like almost in slow mo, like just don't mess this up. You can't miss it, right? You're like throwing it in the ocean. I remember there being so many clips. There's still so many clips of Charger fans' reactions, to that last play, from restaurants to
Yeah.
somebody in the upper deck. It was like somebody compiled a big, collage of all those videos, and it was
It was the perfect call, Philip. It
it
was
was
like
it
so
was
Philip
awesome.
it hurts. That was my absolute favorite moment.
It was
Um,
fun.
oh my God. Yeah, it was fun. Hey, what's with you in media? What's it gonna take?
I
What's
don't
it gonna take?
know.
Philip, you can do it around coaching. You can do it on your own schedule. I have
Yeah.
tried to reach out to your representation. Like, what does he want to do? Get him on a desk in the booth. What's your relationship with that?
Yeah, I've not ruled it out. I've not ruled it out, but I've just every opportunity that's been close to coming or had come up, it just hadn't felt right.
Hmm.
Um, and I just, so yeah, I haven't completely ruled it out. The one thing that I do think I would enjoy it. I do think I would enjoy it. I just don't know. The one thing that I've just loved, since I was however old, playing this game and being now as a coach, is I've been able to have some impact on the score. And
Okay.
for me, it's like, yeah, all right, you might be good at it, talking about it. It's like, but I have nothing to do with the outcome of this game. It's like, so, but like you
So you
said,
want to coach? What are we talking about here?
yeah, that's why I love coaching, as I'm saying. So because I feel like, yeah, I'm not playing the game; it's about the boys, but you have an impact in the score. You are involved in the game. So I don't know. I'm not ruling
Well,
it out. Like you said,
let's get you
you
some
can
more
coach,
offers here.
you can coach and
I
do.
know the offers that you've gotten. I've been, at least a couple. I know, and I'm like, he passed on that. He doesn't want to do that. Why doesn't he want to do that? And I just hope, I'm glad to hear that you have not scratched that itch yet, and that might be something that you
Yeah,
might
no, no,
do.
I definitely wouldn't rule it out. I think the other part for me early on, like as soon as I stopped playing, was, you go on the road for, whatever, a 20-week season, a couple preseason games. You go on the road for 9 weeks a year, roughly 9 or 10 weeks. And then now it potentially is going to be 20 straight weekends you're gone. And I was like, I just got out of that. Now I'm about to double the travel. And so,
And
yeah,
I don't affect the score, so it's just not in the car. Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
But
There
you
you
could
go.
do some recruiting for the boys, at the school. I feel like when you're on there, right? For St.
Yeah.
Michael's, there
Oh,
could be,
yeah. It'd be good free pub for the school for
go
sure.
Cardinals. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you just a couple pundit questions here. Daniel Jones, you got there, the number thing happened. You got his blessing. I'm sure you've been a great influence on him. He's healing up. What do you think being in that building? What do you think the Colts should do with him?
Well, I hope and think that they should bring him back. I mean, he's attacking this rehab. I tell you what, he's been there every day. He's been in every quarterback meeting. He's been, he's doing all his rehab stuff, which I know early on for an Achilles isn't a lot, right? But he's on it, and he was having just such an unbelievable year. And now being around him, I didn't really know him, certainly just watching him from afar, but. He's just the guys all love him and respect him, and he seems like a great teammate. He's been great, in the quarterback room, just with little things that I've come up and said, "Hey, what is this?" Little things that have come up over the last few weeks. So, no, I think he's going to get back healthy and hopefully he picks up where he left off. I mean, he was playing unbelievable, then gets the broke leg, and he's out there battling on a broken leg for 3 weeks, and that was starting to heal up. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn for him. Things he's told me, he's like, man, it was starting to feel good again, and then that happens in Jacksonville with his Achilles. So, I think he'll pick right back up where he left off, and shoot, if he does that, he's a guy that he should be under center here next year, in my opinion.
The two quick ones. Who are you rooting harder for now that the Colts are eliminated? The Chargers, who are in your heart, or Drake May, who loves and knows you?
Um, I'm pulling for the Chargers. I'm definitely pulling for the Chargers. I've been super. It's been awesome to see what Drake's done this year. Drake and Bo both. Drake and Bo, I got to be around a little bit that pre-draft, and both of them. You look at it, and both these guys have been on fire here in year two, which is impressive. And to say I knew they were going to be would not be fair to say, right? Post being around them, but I remember saying both those guys like they're both the real deal. You just knew from not just them throwing, right? Because I think sometimes you can get too caught up in a throwing session, routes on air. It's like I hope they look good in routes on air. There's no defense. But the way they talked about football, the composure they had, all that comes with it, their background, right? But Drake having all his older brothers, that
Hmm.
that beat him up kind of growing up, and were great athletes. And then, Bo, the path he went through at Auburn to Oregon, and just how much he could just tell how his mindset was just so good. So yeah, I do pull for quarterbacks. You pull for those guys that you got to meet. So those Bo and Drake both will be easy to pull for, but I'll be pulling for the Chargers like crazy, and then I'll be pulling for Riley like crazy on Sunday. I haven't gotten to know him. Kind of when he was at Notre Dame, we trained some of his guys for a few days in like a mini camp down there in Alabama, and then his pre-draft stuff. I was a small part of it, and then now here we are. When I first got here, I was like, who would have thought this? Riley, we're teammates. Like what in the world?
Yeah,
And so he's been great too. He's been great because again, you look at a guy like himself, right? He's like, man, maybe I'm about to get an opportunity. Certainly his buddy Daniel, those two guys are close. He doesn't
100%.
he doesn't want to get the opportunity that way, but he's about to get one. And then here, 44-year-old Rivers shows up, and it's like, dang, but he's been unreal in the meeting room, studying, preparing. And I want to reciprocate that for him this week the best I can in his first start. And then I feel like that just closes everything out, the way it should be done. And then I'll be right back to eighth period PE on Tuesday.
Last one for you. Maybe my most important question. What happened to the bolo tie?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it had its run. It
Philip
had its
did it?
run.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if we can close this actual chapter without the bolo. Maybe week 18 bolo. I'm just saying.
I would have to find my way to a Western store here in Indy before Saturday. But yeah, the Bolo was fun. And that started as has been well documented. It
Yes.
started as a little bit of a rebellion to Mike McCoy, and
Yes.
I love Mike, but Mike was like suit and tie on the road, and I was like, what? Suit
I
and tie
know.
on the road? And Charlie Whitehurst deserves some credit for this too, because he was like, hey, you can wear a bolo tie, and I was like, what is that? So.
Oh, I don't know. Charlie got some love for that. That's interesting.
Charlie was kind of the one that kind of like pushed me over the edge. And so I go to this, Western store, Boot Barn or whatever in San Diego and buy every bolo they had and started just changing it up.
I would just put
My
it on the
wife wasn't a big
table.
fan, but
It would,
yeah,
the crowd would go, I mean, just the world would go crazy if you did a bolo. And just saying, you're there to support Riley. Also, let's just leave the door open to this 105 yards. Just putting it out there. Why let Big Ben have that? Why let him have that? You came back, you did your thing. I'm just leaving it out there. Okay.
gotcha.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you've meant to the game. I'm not prepared for this goodbye, so I'm not going to do it. We're just going to leave the door open in any way. And please get in media some way.
I hear you. All doors will remain open because
Yeah.
this one, right? I couldn't have seen this coming, and I just chose a door opens. You can choose to walk through it. So yeah, I won't. Never. I guess you never say never to anything. Proof of that after 5 years out. So
You're proof of that and you're inspiring, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
all right, thanks, Kay.